BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. Success is not about outcome. It's about ownership. When you give 100%, you take full ownership of your actions and your effort and your results. And you may not always win, but you're always growing. In today's BTB Short, we are going to debunk what it really means to give 100%. As a coach, I talk to athletes all the time about giving their best effort, how that can help produce results. It's not just about what happens at the end of giving our best effort. It's about the importance of giving 100%. We're going to dive into some tips and tricks. This episode will impact you as the listener. Go out and let's give 100% each and every day. Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Kollman Gearhart. A former athlete and motivational coach, I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living out my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land.
In today's BTB Short, I want to tackle the concept around giving 100% and the power of 100%, because we live in a fearful world, and it's time for us as individuals to take ownership about how we're redefining success and how we're going against the grain of what people expect from us, of what groups and large entities want us to conform to. It's about taking ownership of our lives. We live in a world, in my opinion, that's holding us back. And there's constantly challenges that demand us to give more, but yet most of the time the world is holding us back. So why is this happening? It's because we live in fear. And even though we want to give our best, we're in fear that giving our best is still not going to be good enough. We worry about failure. We worry about judgment and rejection. I want to share a perspective that can change the way you approach your life, your work, and your relationships. It's not about being the best. It's about giving your best. I was just having this conversation with my son the other day, who is an athlete and is right in the middle of some of the most important times in his athletic career before he heads to college. And he talks all the time about performance and getting better and having the edge and what it takes. But ultimately, as I've seen my son perform, I've seen him perform at a very high level, but I also see him performing within the guardrails of what allows him to feel comfortable about his performance, giving what he believes is his best, and ultimately produces an outcome that shows progression and where he's trying to go in his athletic career. But by the end of this short, my goal is for you to have actionable strategies to overcome some of those fears, to unleash your full power of really what 100% effort is. So why do we fear giving 100%? Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Fear, the fear of inadequacy. It's rooted in comparison and external validation. We can go right now on Instagram and scroll till we're blue in the face and find all sorts of people, places, or things that puts us into the comparison trap. Then remember, comparison kills courage. When we measure ourselves against others, we forget that success isn't a universal standard. It's deeply personal. It's understanding your why. It's understanding on what makes you tick. A lot of conversation pieces that have been sprinkled throughout the BTB project, because I believe it's important as human beings to have that understanding, deep personal connection. Because if you're trying to compare to somebody else, it's going to take away the joy. One of the best quotes that I've heard on the podcast was a gentleman that I was able to interview that is part of the Irish Davis Cup team, played at the University of Memphis, fantastic tennis player. And he said that comparison is the teeth of our joy. And what he said that just absolutely blew my mind, because I never thought about comparison that way. A lot of times in my life, I thought about comparison as something that could fuel me, that if I saw something or inspired to be something, that I would have a template of what that looks like through somebody else. But ultimately, I was wrong, because that still wasn't me. It wasn't my authentic self. And external validation can chain us to complacency. When we try to seek approval, we give others control of our worth. And when we don't have the ability to have that strength in our self-worth, we absolutely create limitations that people put on us, because we're always seeking the external validation rather than the internal understanding of who we are and who we're built to become. Think about it. If we give 50% because you're afraid of failing, you're guaranteeing that failure. You're giving that failure power. You're giving that failure 50% of who you are. But if you give 100%, you've already succeeded in the most important way, by showing up fully. People always come to me as a coach and ask me, Coach, what does it take to be successful? Coach, what does it take to be great? Coach, what does it take to win this match? That's the secret sauce right there, ladies and gentlemen, is show up fully, show up present, show up with that internal validation, which will create an external result. Are you showing up 100%? Because if you're only showing up 50% because you're afraid, you've already lost. You've already limited yourself. So how does that work with our perspective? I believe that there's a perspective shift that needs to happen. Here's the truth. Success is not about outcome. It's about ownership. When you give 100%, you take full ownership of your actions and your effort and your results. And you may not always win, but you're always growing. Are you getting 1% better each and every day? Are you staying on the path of progression? Winston Churchill's quote, failure is maintaining your momentum, taking steps forward while maintaining your enthusiasm and not giving up. That's the true definition of success. So as you're giving 100% and you're taking full ownership of your actions, effort, and results, you may not win, but you're growing. Winning is a result-oriented outcome. Let's take those 3 letters and turn it into an acronym that's even more important. WIN. What is now? What are you controlling right now? What are you doing right now in your present state that allows you to makes steps towards progress, that makes steps towards your goal, that doesn't keep you complacent, that doesn't put you in fear, but actionable steps giving 100% towards your goal. Let me share a story. I remember a time and a place in my life where I had an 18-month period as a collegiate tennis player where I literally did not lose a match for 18 months. And people ask me all the time, how'd you do it? Why were you able to go on that hot streak? And what's funny about that story is the moments leading up to those 18 months, I lost a lot of tennis matches. I had incredible insecurity and self-doubt. I was out of shape just coming off of an injury and lived in a lot of fear and felt like I wasn't good enough and wasn't playing my game because I wasn't present. Everything that I'm teaching you in this BTB short were things that I was struggling with as an individual. But it was in that experience, those 18 months, where I realized the power of showing up fully present. Every day, 100% ready at whatever was going to be thrown at me. I had a lot of confidence in myself. I spent a lot of time coming off of that injury, rehabbing and getting myself into the best shape of my life. I had an incredible amount of trauma that I just overcame with the death of my mother at 20 years old and having to say goodbye to her at such a young age after losing her to addiction. So I was at a place where I wanted to honor her. She loved watching me play tennis and being able to go out there and not only play for myself, but know that I was playing for something greater than me. And it was in those 18 months where I was just so focused on being present, so focused on my controllables, what I could do each and every day, that it started producing these outcomes that are result-oriented outcomes, winning tennis matches, winning tennis tournaments, setting school records. All of that happens because despite all of the uncertainty that I had moments before that 18-month window, I was present enough to allow control in my life. I was present enough to allow control in my life. All of the things that were little nuances or that would throw me off, whether it was a bad weather day or coming down with a cold or failing that homework assignment in college that made me think twice about the tennis court rather than being confident in who I am. All of those things subsided for that period of time. I was so confident in each and every aspect of my life because I showed up 100%. Not being able to control all the outcomes, but I can control the present with who I was, with my authentic self. So what's the takeaway there? When you give 100%, you don't just raise the ceiling of possibility. You eliminate the floor of regret. How many times can you step away and say to yourself, I'm living without regrets. I'm living without a fear of failure because I've given everything. So as you think about that personal journey that I had, think about your personal journey. And let's add a 3-step plan to help you embrace your 100%. So what is the actionable strategies that you can implement today? Well, number one is we got to redefine what good enough means. We have to stop chasing after perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. We are human beings. We are created by God that is far more perfectly perfect than we are. And that's okay. It's okay to know that we have these blemishes, these flaws. That's what makes life so beautiful. So we're not perfect. Shift your mindset from am I the best to did I give my best? You see a lot of those cliches on locker room walls or coaching quotes on the whiteboard. You decide the effort that you give. As a coach, I can't make you give effort. That's something that you show up with well before the practice field, well before the match, well before any aspect of athletics. You are the one that's deciding what you're going to give that day. Practice your daily reflection. Ask yourself, did I give 100% of what I had to give today? Ask yourself that question at the end of each day. Write it down in your journal. Put the feedback on paper. If you didn't give 100%, in all honesty, that's okay. But if you only gave 50% or 60%, why? Understand the why behind not giving your best so that you can start facing it. Because number 2 is you got to turn those moments of fear that you have of giving everything, you got to turn that into your fuel. Use fear as a signal to focus. Fear shows us where our passions lie. Instead of avoiding what scares you, lean in. I'm telling you, a lot of the things that we worry about, 98% of the things that we worry about never actually happen. And knowing that's a scientific stat, are you willing to actually go against the grain of what our brain and our mind tricks do to us and just go for it? Start small. Just tackle one thing today that's been something you've held back on. Maybe it's starting that new business. Maybe it's your ultimate comeback. Maybe it's a diet. Maybe it's a fitness plan. Maybe it's taking that class you held off or going back to school to graduate with your master's. Just start small. Tackle one thing at a time and see what happens to your life if you take those little steps. Lastly is commit to the process. Not just the goal of what you're trying to achieve, but the process, the journey. If I haven't made it clear how important it is to tap into those types of facets of your life, then I'm not doing my job. It's important to trust the process. And then when you're able to go out and accomplish what you've been able to accomplish because you've been 100% present, committed to the process, that's the true celebration, is reflecting back on the journey, not necessarily always reflecting on lifting the trophy. So what does this all mean? Redefining what good enough means, turning fear into fuel, committing to the process, not just the goal. What does this all mean? It is a gift. It is a gift you have to learn on giving 100%. Imagine a life where you leave nothing on the table. A life where fear doesn't dictate your choices and regret never lingers. Imagine living a life like that. When you give 100%, you're not just proving your worth to others. You're honing your own potential. You're saying, I showed up that day. I gave my all, and that's enough. Think about the power in that state. I showed up. I gave my all, and that's good enough. So as we wind down this BTB short today, I challenge you. Choose one area of your life, your career, your relationships, your personal growth. Choose one area and commit to giving it 100%. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Be present in giving your 100% today and watch what happens in your life. The power of giving 100% isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you become. listen. If this BTB short about giving your 100% impacted you, do me a favor and you can subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, send this message to a family member, friend, or colleague and tell them about how you've been able to tap into being present, giving your 100% each day, and how it can help them. It's this BTB community and working together is where truly the magic happens, is where truly we're able to foster relationships that are meaningful and impactful in our lives, and ultimately how we're able to become the strongest version of ourselves. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.